So Chinese shoppers, they flocked to Japan last year, and they were looking for these electronic toilet seats. This somehow seemed to indicate that there's a supply-demand imbalance, not really that they're not willing to pay money. They're just looking elsewhere to buy these products. Do you think that to increase the supply of these kinds of goods in China, for example, electronic toilet seats, could help boost the Chinese economy?
If they can increase, the product like heated toilet seat and other products, that's a good thing. But that's only one side of the story. On the other side, the Chinese manufacturer, for example, how to produce more products which are really needed by the consumers. Right? So I think that's important because now, China now they have they have money to spend, and that's why they go to Japan to spend the money. But on the other hand, really need to the market really need to have more things which are really needed by the consumers. So that's what we're talking about now, namely the supply side economy. So that's the fundamental issue for Chinese economic growth in the future.
What kind of services and goods are we speaking about, except from toilet seats?
Mm-hmm. So there are so many products, but things, I don't think the government, can really control, what are really needed by consumers. So because governments also have some lack of the response or sensitiveness to the market needs. So the market, the business people, they need to pay more attention to the issue.
Considering that there are so many environmental problems, both in China and also globally with global warming, that it's ethical to encourage more consumerist behavior, since that's what's actually causing global warming and all the air pollution that we're experiencing.
Yeah, I think global warming or environmental issue, is a result of different the reasons. Yeah, not only just because the consumer or people are consuming too much, but apparently, the excessive consumption, in the planet, I think is one of the issues. So in this regard, so I would say that China really need to, the people either in China or overseas really need to refrain, from consuming too much. So
but that would be bad for the economy, right?
From short-term perspective, yes, maybe. People are consuming less and less production and less economic growth. So that maybe that's the issue. But things, if you look at issue from a more longer perspective, we can see that the impacts could be the excessive consumption is negative. Why that? For example, if for example now Chinese experiencing the excessive production or the capacity, that's one of the reason, because the manufacturer always want to try to produce a lot of products to be purchased by the consumer. But however, suddenly people do not want to consume that much. So then we have the problem of excess capacity. And secondly, also regarding the pollution, environmental pollution. That's another benefit, a consequence of the excessive consumption.
But if the Chinese government was to decide whether or not to make consumers consume more or to make consumers consume less, I think they would probably choose the first one, to make them consume more, wouldn't you say?
I don't think that. So far, I don't see any, particularly policy, in which case the government try to encourage people to consume, consume a lot or to conduct, excessive consumption. So again, there's always the balance, between consumption and the production. So I think that the government could try to encourage people to to consume something which are which are needed by them. So I think that's something we have to see from the more balance or the holistic way regarding this issue.